Welcome back, my friend. Tonight, we enter London during the Wars of the Roses, when crowns change hands and loyalties shift with every victory. From Edward IV's return to the mystery of the princes in the Tower, we follow the city toward Bosworth and the dawn of the Tudor Age. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let history carry you towards sleep. Subscribe to Deep Sleep Storytelling for more peaceful journeys through history, science, and the mysteries of the sea.
Wars of the Roses. London in the Crossfire. Breathe slowly, my friend. Feel the weight of the blanket, the softness of the pillow, and the quiet rhythm of your heartbeat. Tonight we enter one of the most turbulent moments in England's history, a time when the crown itself seems to tremble, and London stands at the heart of every whisper, every rumor, and every shifting alliance. This is the era known as the Wars of the Roses, a struggle between two great houses, Lancaster with its red rose, York with its white, a conflict that spreads through the kingdom like a storm moving across fields and forests. London watches all of it with wary eyes. For though battles rage far from the city walls, the consequences of every victory and defeat flow straight to the capital. Let us walk slowly into this world, shaken by uncertainty. A kingdom fractured. The seeds of this war have already been planted during the troubled reign of Henry VI. His illness, his advisors, the losses in France, the ambitions of the Duke of York, the fears of the Lancastrian court. By the late 1450s, the kingdom divides itself into two visions of the future. Some families believe Lancaster must hold the crown. Others believe the House of York has the rightful claim. London feels this tension long before the first sword is drawn. Merchants speak softly of the matter over cups of ale. Guilds debate carefully, knowing that taking sides too early could be dangerous. Common people listen and wonder which direction history will move. The city holds its breath. The first battles and London's unease. In 1455, the first major battle takes place at St. Albans, not far from the capital. When news reaches London, it spreads through the streets with the speed of a river current. Henry VI has been captured. Richard, Duke of York, stands stronger than ever. Nobles have fallen. Blood has been spilled for the crown. London reacts with caution rather than panic. The city has learned from past centuries that outward calm is sometimes the only protection during uncertain times. But beneath the calm lies fear. Children hear adults whispering in corners. Merchants revise contracts to protect themselves if the wrong side wins. Guild leaders attend more meetings, speaking in low voices about safety, trade, and the risk of being caught between rival armies. The war is still far from the city walls, yet its shadow grows longer every day. A city choosing sides carefully. Unlike small villages that rely on noble protection, London holds real influence. Both Lancaster and York need the city. They need its money, they need its supplies, They need its symbolic support. London's decision can tilt the balance of power. And so London chooses slowly, cautiously, observing each shift in the conflict. Some guilds lean toward Lancaster out of tradition. Others prefer York because they trust its leaders more. Some merchants remain neutral, believing that success in trade depends on stability rather than loyalty to any rose. The city becomes a tapestry of opinions, woven tightly together, none daring to tear itself apart. Edward, the young hope of the Yorkists. By 1460, the conflict intensifies. Richard, Duke of York, makes a bold claim to the throne, but his death soon after leaves the Yorkist cause in the hands of his tall, charismatic, battle-tested son, Edward. London is drawn to Edward in a way it never was to other nobles. He is confident. He is brave. He speaks plainly. He promises stability. He respects the guilds and the merchants, and he understands the power of the city. So when Edward arrives at the gates of London in 1461, seeking recognition as king, something remarkable happens. The city opens its gates. Crowds gather to see him. Guild banners flutter above Cheapside. People cheer, sensing that this young leader may offer the peace they desperately crave. London declares for the White Rose. And soon after, Edward becomes King Edward IV. The shift in power and the city's relief. Under Edward IV, London breathes again. The new king is strong, organized, and determined to restore order. He pays debts. He rewards the city for its loyalty. He strengthens trade. He curbs disorder. The markets become lively with confidence. Merchants feel safer. Guilds strengthen their positions. London enjoys years of relative calm, but the war is not truly over. Lancastrian forces still fight, and Henry VI still breathes somewhere in England. The shadow remains, thin but present. The Lancastrian resurgence. In 1470, the impossible happens. Edward IV is driven from the throne. Henry VI is restored. London is stunned. News arrives like a cold wind, spiraling through the streets. People whisper anxiously. Merchants hide their wealth. Guilds prepare for rapid shifts in policy. Soldiers move through the gates. Nobles forge new alliances in desperate secrecy. The city had placed its trust in Edward IV. His exile leaves London vulnerable and uncertain once again. This reversal feels like a wave crashing backward, pulling the sand from beneath the city's feet. Edward's triumphant return. But the tide turns once more. In 1471, Edward IV returns to England with determination burning bright in his eyes. London waits in suspense. And when he approaches the city, London again opens its gates. The people remember his leadership. They remember his promises. They remember how safe the streets felt under his rule. Edward enters London triumphantly. Bells ring, crowds gather, guild banners rise. The city embraces him with renewed loyalty. The battles that follow are fierce, but they take place away from London. When they end, Edward IV stands secure as king, and Henry VI's chapter closes forever. London after the storms. The final years of the conflict pass more quietly. Edward IV rules firmly. Trade flourishes, guilds prosper, homes feel safer, but the city does not forget the years of uncertainty. The Wars of the Roses have taught London a difficult lesson. Kings can fall, crowns can change heads, battles can reshape the kingdom overnight. London's survival depends not on royal favor, but on unity, trade, discipline, and the quiet strength of its people. Ending the chapter. Breathe deeply now. Let the echoes of conflict fade in your imagination. Imagine London at dusk, after years of turmoil. Candles glow behind shuttered windows. Merchants count coins by the fire. Guilds lock their halls for the night. The river flows quietly under a sky washed clean of storm clouds. The roses have clashed. The crown has shifted, but London endures. Rest now, traveler. There is peace ahead, but also new challenges. The next chapter brings the calm and rebuilding of Edward IV's reign. Edward IV and the return of stability. Settle into your pillow, my friend. Let your breath soften. The storms of the Wars of the Roses have passed, at least for now, and tonight we walk into one of the calmest stretches of the 15th century. A time when London, weary from years of shifting loyalties and anxious whispers, finally finds room to breathe. This is the era of Edward IV restored. A king who steps back onto the throne with steadier hands, firmer purpose, and a desire to bring peace to a kingdom that has seen too much blood. Let us walk quietly into this moment of renewal. A king reborn. When Edward IV returns to London in 1471, his face reflects both exhaustion and determination. He knows what war costs. He knows how easily a crown can be lost. And he knows that England needs more than triumph. It needs healing. London welcomes him with open gates and open hearts. The cheers are not merely political. They carry relief. They carry gratitude. They carry the hope that the worst has passed. Edward senses this. His second reign begins not with vengeance, but with careful rebuilding. A city exhales. London has lived through years of tension, markets disrupted, trade threatened, families divided in their loyalties, guilds forced to navigate shifting political winds, fear woven into everyday life like threads in a tapestry. But now suddenly, the city feels lighter. Shutters open earlier in the morning. Taverns buzz with friendly conversation instead of fearful murmurs. Ships once again crowd the river without hesitation. Children run through the lanes with laughter rather than caution. It is as if London itself exhales after holding its breath for far too long. Rebuilding trust and trade. Under Edward IV's renewed rule, commerce grows rapidly. He understands the importance of wealth and stability, not only for nobles, but for merchants, guilds, and workers. The riverfront becomes busier. Ships from the Low Countries arrive in long, steady lines. Italian traders return with silk, spices, and glass. English wool exports boom once more. The city feels a pulse of prosperity that had dimmed during the years of conflict. Guilds hold larger meetings. Markets expand their stalls. New warehouses appear along the wharves. Money flows through the city with renewed confidence. It is not the wild, hungry activity of a boom, but the steady rhythm of a city rebuilding itself. A more elegant London. Edward IV brings something new to the capital, a sense of style. He has traveled, observed, and learned from continental courts. He has seen the beginnings of Renaissance taste in Burgundy and the Low Countries. And he brings these ideas home. Londoners, always quick to adapt, follow his lead. Clothing becomes richer in color, fabrics become more refined. Nobles commission portraits and elaborate tapestries. Houses display small decorative items made of fine metal or glass. Even the guilds, usually practical, invest in more elaborate symbols and banners. There is a quiet elegance spreading through the city, a sign that life is not merely surviving, but beginning to flourish. The strengthening of law and order. One of Edward's greatest achievements is the restoration of law. After years of factional conflict, ordinary people crave predictability. Courts operate more smoothly. Disputes are settled fairly. Officials act with greater clarity. The streets feel safer. Londoners finally feel able to focus on work, family, and daily life without fearing sudden upheaval. This stability strengthens the bond between the city and the crown. Edward knows London's value. He depends on it for funds. He respects its guilds. He seeks its approval when making major decisions. London, in return, honors him with loyalty. A city of celebrations. Peacetime brings something London has missed: joy. Feast days grow larger. Guild festivals become more colorful. Processions wind through the streets with banners, music, and bright clothing. Taverns overflow with songs and stories. The city embraces the chance to celebrate after so many years of restraint. Imagine an evening around 1475. Lantern light drifts through the lanes. Laughter fills the taverns near Eastcheap. Minstrels play soft melodies. Merchants share wine imported from Bordeaux. The scent of roasted meat floats from open doorways. It feels like a London reborn. The flourishing of learning. As stability returns, education grows. Books no longer seem like luxuries. More children of merchants learn to read and write. Clerks become skilled record keepers. Church schools expand their instruction. Letters travel more frequently across the kingdom and across Europe. A quiet intellectual awakening begins. Nothing dramatic, nothing sudden, but steady and real. People discuss chronicle histories, poetry, and new ideas from continental scholars. copyists produce manuscripts with greater speed. Travelers bring stories of artistic changes in Italy, France, and the Low Countries. London, still medieval in many ways, begins to peak gently toward the future. Edward's second reign and its peace. Edward IV rules with confidence during his restored reign. He rewards loyalty. He manages disputes with skill. He maintains peace with neighboring countries. He keeps nobles in check. He protects the city that protected him. The years that follow are some of the most stable in the entire 15th century. London grows stronger, homes grow wealthier, guilds expand their influence, markets reach new heights, churches feel full again, families experience a generation of calm unknown to their parents. For a moment, it feels as though the worst is finally behind them. Shadows on the horizon. Yet even in this time of calm, small worries linger. Edward's court contains rivalries. Some nobles resent his power, others envy his wealth. Questions echo quietly through the city. Who will succeed the king? Will stability last? What will happen when Edward is gone? London senses that peace, while real, is delicate, like a candle that burns brightly but can be extinguished by a sudden breath. But the city has learned not to dwell too deeply on distant fears. It has work to do, families to feed, trade to conduct, festivals to celebrate. For now, stability reigns, and London embraces it fully. Ending the chapter. Rest now, traveler. Imagine London drifting into a peaceful night. Candles glow warmly in windows. The river hums quietly under the moon. Merchants close their shutters with contentment. Guild halls fall silent after long days of discussion and celebration. For the first time in many years, the city sleeps without fear. But history does not remain still for long. Edward IV's peace will not last forever. New struggles will arise, and the crown will once again tremble. For now, breathe gently. The night is calm, and London rests in the glow of hard-earned stability. The king's death and London's uncertain dawn. Settle deeper into your blanket, my friend. Let your breath grow long and quiet. Tonight, London enters another moment of transition, a moment that arrives softly but strikes with the weight of destiny. Edward IV, the king who brought stability after years of conflict, is about to leave the stage. And with his departure, the city finds itself standing once again at the edge of uncertainty. Let us walk gently into this turning point. The final days of a strong king. By the late 1470s and early 1480s, Edward IV seems secure. He is confident, wealthy, respected, and physically imposing. London has grown accustomed to seeing him ride through the city with the assurance of a ruler who understands power. But even kings are mortal. Illness creeps upon Edward quietly. Whispers begin among his closest servants. Physicians come and go with worried expressions. The court watches nervously. And London, though unaware of every detail, senses the tightening of political air. In the spring of 1483, Edward IV dies suddenly. The news moves through London like a cold wind, spreading through the narrow lanes. People pause in their work. Merchants whisper in their stalls. Priests pray before the altars. Guild leaders gather in hurried meetings. The king who restored peace is gone, and with him the stability he worked so hard to build begins to tremble. The child who would be king. Edward IV leaves behind a kingdom and a legacy, but also something fragile. His heir, the young Edward, is only 12 years old, too young to rule on his own, too inexperienced to manage factions, too vulnerable for a world where power is hunted like a prize. London receives this news with mixed emotions: pride in the boy's lineage, fear over his age, questions about who will rule until he matures. The city has lived through chaos before and does not crave more. Shopkeepers hope for continuity. Merchants hope for stability. Commoners hope for peace. But the path ahead is not clear. Two men stand poised to shape the kingdom's future. One is Lord Hastings, loyal to the House of York. The other is Richard, Duke of Gloucester, the late king's brother. London watches closely. Events begin to shift quickly, like shadows flickering on stone walls. The journey to London. Young Edward is living in Ludlow when his father dies. A royal escort brings him toward London to take the crown. Londoners prepare to welcome their child king with ceremony and affection. But the journey changes course. Richard, Duke of Gloucester, intercepts the procession. He speaks of danger. He speaks of conspiracies against the young king. He insists that he, as uncle, must protect him. London hears these reports with unease. Some believe Richard acts out of loyalty. Others sense ambition beneath his concern. The boy continues toward the capital under Richard's guidance, but something feels altered. The welcome is no longer a celebration. It is a question. The princes enter the Tower. When young Edward arrives in London, he does not go to Westminster to prepare for his coronation. Instead, he is brought to the Tower of London, and this is not unusual. Traditionally, kings often stay in the Tower before their coronation. Yet London senses something different. The air feels heavier. The Tower seems too quiet. Edward's younger brother, Richard of Shrewsbury, soon joins him. Two princes, two heirs, two children lodged in a fortress that has always symbolized power and fear. Londoners whisper in the markets, is this temporary? Is this ceremony? Or is something darker unfolding? No one knows. But the silence surrounding the tower begins to feel unsettling. A city of whispers. As the days pass, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, tightens his grip on the government. Advisors loyal to the young king are arrested. Some are executed. Parliament is persuaded to reconsider claims about the legitimacy of Edward IV's marriage. Rumors ripple through every alley. Merchants speak in hushed tones behind their stalls. Guild members exchange nervous looks during meetings. Tavern patrons lean close, lowering their voices. What will become of the princes? Will they ever leave the tower? Will Richard place the crown upon the boy's head or upon his own? The city waits, and the waiting becomes anxiety. Richard III takes the crown. In June 1483, news spreads like wildfire. Parliament has declared young Edward and his brother illegitimate. Richard, Duke of Gloucester, is proclaimed the rightful king. London stands still for a moment, caught between disbelief and resignation. Some accept Richard III with cautious hope. They believe he will protect the kingdom and enforce strong rule. Others feel a quiet dread settling into their bones. What of the princes? Why are they still in the tower? Why have they not been seen in public? Why are the windows of their chambers kept closed? The questions multiply. Answers never arrive. The shadow over the tower. As summer progresses, the princes are seen less and less. Their laughter disappears from the courtyard. No servants come or go on their behalf. The stones seem to hold secrets within their cold walls. London begins to fear the worst. People do not speak openly. To question the king is dangerous, but everyone feels the shadow lengthening over the tower. Mothers draw their children closer. Fishmongers pause their calls. Priests whisper prayers for the innocent. And night after night, London dreams uneasy dreams. The fate of the princes becomes one of history's greatest mysteries. But in the moment for the people of London, it is not a legend. It is a wound. A quiet city under a troubled king. Richard III rules with authority, but he cannot erase the unease that surrounds his reign. London obeys him, yet the trust between crown and city has cracked. Markets continue. Guilds operate. Ships arrive. Life goes on. But beneath the surface, the city holds its breath once more. The memory of Edward IV's stability feels precious and distant. London senses that peace is fragile again, like thin ice stretching across a winter pond. Somewhere in the city, a new story is already forming, one that will bring yet another change, one that will rewrite the kingdom. The story of a young man across the sea, a claim, a battle yet to come. But that is for the next chapter. Ending the chapter. Rest now, friend. Let the troubled whispers of these years drift away. Picture London at twilight. The river glimmers faintly. The bells echo softly across the rooftops. The tower stands tall and silent, both guardian and question. Edward IV has passed. His sons have vanished. Richard III sits upon the throne, and the city waits, unsure of what dawn will bring. Bosworth, a new dawn and the end of an age. Settle your breath, my friend. Let the softness of your pillow cradle you. Tonight we arrive at the final crossroads of the Middle Ages in England, a moment when London stands still once more, watching history tilt toward a new beginning. The city has lived through the rise and fall of kings, through shifting loyalties, through quiet whispers in taverns and thunderous battles far beyond its walls. Now in the late summer of 1485, the air feels thick with anticipation. Something is coming, a change that will shape centuries ahead. Let us walk together into this turning point. A city waiting in suspense. Richard III rules in London, but peace sits uneasily on his shoulders. He has survived rebellions. He has navigated rumors. He has tried to stabilize the realm. Yet the shadow of doubt follows him everywhere. London remembers the princes. London remembers the silence of the tower. London remembers the hushed voices that never dared to speak too loudly. Whispers drift through Cheapside and across the riverfront. They speak of a challenger rising in exile, a young man whose claim is thin, but whose cause grows stronger by the day. His name is Henry Tudor, and London waits, cautious but attentive, for the next chapter of the Crown's story. Henry Tudor's Crossing. In August 1485, Henry Tudor sets sail from France with a modest army. The news travels to London in fragments, carried by messengers, rumors, and anxious imaginations. Some fear another era of bloodshed. Some hope for justice. Many simply long for stability. After decades of uncertainty, the city feels the tension like a tightening rope. Officials scan the roads for news. Guild leaders whisper about possible outcomes. Merchants reconsider investments until the future becomes clearer. Life continues, but always with one ear turned toward the north, where two armies will soon meet. The Field of Bosworth. On the 22nd of August, Henry Tudor and Richard III clash at Bosworth Field. London does not witness it, but the fate of the battle will determine the city's future. Richard charges with fierce determination, leading from the front, trusting in strength and valor. Henry advances with caution and calculation, relying on loyal captains and the hopes of those who believe he can restore peace. The battle is brutal. Swords ring, mud churns beneath thousands of feet. Shouts rise and fall like breaking waves. Then suddenly, the tide turns. Richard is surrounded. He refuses to flee. He fights to the very end. And there, on the battlefield's bloodied earth, the last king of the Plantagenet line falls. The Middle Ages breathe their final breath. The news reaches London. When word of the victory reaches the capital, it travels faster than any messenger can truly run. The story seems to fly on the wind, finding its way into every street, every shop, every small conversation. Richard is dead. Henry Tudor is king. London reacts with a complex blend of emotions. There is relief because uncertainty has ended. There is caution because a new ruler brings new expectations. There is curiosity because few know what Henry truly stands for. Above all, there is hope. Hope that the long cycle of rebellion and war might finally be broken. Hope that the city's future might grow more stable. Hope that London's growing power and influence might flourish under new leadership. Henry VII enters the capital. Henry Tudor enters London not as a conqueror, but as a promise. Crowds gather to watch him pass. The banners of the Red Rose flutter above the streets. Merchants stand in their doorways, studying the face of the new king. Children climb onto barrels to get a better look. Clergy wait at the cathedral to greet him. Henry rides through the city with quiet dignity. He does not boast. He does not flaunt victory. He carries himself with the calm of someone who understands how fragile power can be. London responds to this calm with warmth. They sense in him a new chapter, something gentler, more measured, more hopeful. A chapter that might finally heal the fractures left by decades of conflict. A new dynasty begins. Henry Tudor takes the crown as Henry VII, and with that moment, a new dynasty is born. The Tudors will rule England into the modern world. They will bring Renaissance ideas. They will reshape religious life. They will elevate London's global importance. They will turn the city into a center of culture, finance, and royal authority. But all of that lies ahead. For now, London rests in the glow of a new beginning. The long struggle between red and white roses has finally ended. The crown rests securely on a new head. The kingdom's wounds begin to heal. The Middle Ages, with their feasts and famines, their guilds and castles, their battles and plagues, begin to fade like the final notes of a long song. London at the edge of a new world. Night settles over the city. Candles glow in the windows of homes along the Thames. Merchants count coins under warm lamplight. Guild halls lock their doors after long meetings discussing the policies of the new king. The bells ring softly across the rooftops. London feels different, lighter, more hopeful, more prepared. The city stands at the threshold of transformation. Soon it will become the heart of a dynasty that will change not only England, but much of the world around it. But that is a story for another episode. Tonight we close the door gently on the medieval age, ending the chapter. Rest now, traveler. You have walked through war and triumph, through uncertainty and renewal. The roses have faded. The crown has settled. A new sun rises over England. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts soften. Let the gentle quiet of this moment drift through your mind like mist along the Thames. The Middle Ages are behind us. Ahead lies the dawn of the Tudor world.
As part 3 comes to a close, let the clash of roses and the uncertainty of crowns slowly fade. London has watched Edward IV return. The young princes disappear into the Tower. Richard III rise, and Henry Tudor claim victory at Bosworth. With that final turning point, the long medieval age begins to close. London spends, the city remains beside the Thames, wiser, stronger, and ready for a new world of Tudor kings, Renaissance ideas, and greater change. For tonight, let the bells grow quiet. London fortins have fallen. A new dawn waits beyond the river. Sleep well, traveler.